It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Netroots. Interesting couple of days. Lots of people from different ideologies, different ideas, different issues coming together, figuring out how to move everyone forward. Kind of an interesting group of folks. Not the place for an old straight white guy, but understand, if we're going to move this country forward, it's about understanding each other. It's about tolerance. It's about bringing people together and fighting for that ideal of building a more perfect union, of fighting for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And honestly, I go to these events because it gives an opportunity to reach folks that we generally don't get into our arena. And understand, the right uses a lot of these folks as attack material, as punchlines of jokes. These are people. These are citizens. These are voters. And what I hope comes out of events like Netroots is that people find common ground, find a way to work together, and find a way to start winning elections. And as I spent the couple of days talking to people, as a labor guy, I was very clear. The way forward on everyone's issue, on all of the issues in front of us, is organizing the workplace, bringing people together, solving problems. It's easy to create problems. It's easy to tear things apart. Look, we're watching the Republican Party tear apart the nation. As my grandfather always said, any idiot with a hammer can tear down a house. It takes a craftsman to build one. And this is where these events, I think, are kind of important. If the goal is higher, if the goal is we're going to make life better for everyone, if the goal is we're going to make opportunity available for everyone, then that's fabulous. If the goal is, my team wins and the heck with everybody else, then it's going to be a failure. Because either we all move forward together or we all end up ripping each other apart and end up right where the wealth class wants us, at each other's throats, not noticing how badly we've been robbed over the last 40 years. And look, all of these issues, from abortion to gay rights to the environment to you name it. Now education. This is the part that gets me. Now education is on the attack. Because the wealth class understands education, and we've been saying it for years, is the pathway forward. Enlightened citizens, active, engaged, educated citizens. That's the way we continue this wonderful experiment. And now education's on the attack block. And we've seen it in right-wing circles. We've seen, I watched the Talking Points USA stuff and a lot of kookery. Now, when we come back to this moment, how do we organize all these folks at Netroots Nation and as their home, what did they take back with them? What is it that they're going to take back into their communities, into their work from conferences like Netroots that's going to help us get voters to the polls? Because understand, the country is under attack. Make no bones about it. This is a moment where, your flags don't mean much to me. The only one that matters is that American flag. This is that moment where we band together and put down the idiocy of the right. Because it's not a good place for anyone. And understand, while we're fighting over these cultural issues, while we're fighting over this stuff that's meant to divide us, while we're fighting over the outrage candy, the right is masterfully manipulating it so that the wealthy can rob us blind. And understand, for 45 years, they've been crushing labor unions. There's finally some energy. There's finally some activity, and we see it right now going on with the writers' strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike. These are people who understand that technology is going to wipe them out. They understand that, and look, and we better understand it, because this is the front line. This is the first shot in what will be a very long tech war. If SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild lose, we're all in big trouble. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Patty Vasquez is going to be here. She's the afternoon drive host on WCPT AM 820. Going to sit down with us and talk about, the conference. Going to talk about the SAG-AFTRA strike, and maybe how we get somewhat forward, and also maybe a laugh or two, because Patty is absolutely fabulous. Quick break. Right back with Patty Vasquez.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Unions are making a comeback. More organizing in the last couple of years than in a long time. And the Biden administration being more supportive of unions than any president since FDR. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
So welcome back to Chicago here at Netroots Nation. And one of the things I was really happy about this conference being in Chicago is the opportunity to do a little work with our partner here in Chicago, WCPT, one of the affiliates that carries our program. And thank you to the good folks at WCPT for carrying the program. But also, more importantly, man, I get to talk to some of the people who are on the station who do incredible work. And one of those folks sitting down with me today is Patty Vasquez. She's the afternoon drive host on WCPT. You should never miss her show, ever, if you're in Chicago. Patty, thanks for sitting down with us.
I am so thrilled. I know I saw you yesterday, walk by. We had a lot of things going on, so it's great to sit down with you today. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been very good. I'm busy. I like being busy.
Sure.
And you get to talk to a bunch of people that all in one space and finally see them.
Yes.
It's one thing we do a lot of phone stuff, we do a lot of Zoom stuff, but to actually sit in the same space and so you can reach out and smack them if you have to.
Correct. I am, but I'm sitting far enough from you. I'm with.
No, I'm worried about you smacking me.
It's not going to happen.
So how you been?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day in Chicago. Yesterday, I would say, was a little bit nicer because it was a little breeze. Today, It's a little hot. But I just came from our SAG-AFTRA union offices. I was trained as a strike captain today.
That's what I like to hear.
So I'm very excited to be involved. Yeah.
So when we walk in the line together?
We are walking. Well, I probably should wait for the national announcement from SAG-AFTRA for the schedule. So I will. I can send you a message because I apologize. I'm glad to see you too because you had messaged me when we were doing one of the labor panels and wanted me on ahead of time, and I'm like, please text me next time because I don't always get these emails. So please don't hesitate to use that phone number right there.
I will certainly do. No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's about supporting each other. And
yes,
if you're on the picket line, I'm going to be there with you.
And that's really the encouraging and wonderful thing this time around. I was not a part of the union when we went on strike in 2000. I joined a year later, and I am hearing so many great things from our labor leaders in Chicago when we pick picketed with the WGA last month. We had plumbers and engineers. We had, a lot of the Teamsters were out there saying, we stand with you. And that is a new energy that I think has really buoyed a lot of us, has lent itself to the energy of this movement. I think this whole summer is going to be Labor Summer. I don't know if you're seeing these memes. Hot Labor Summer, baby.
Well, it's about damn time.
Right?
Yeah,
we're going to shut it all down.
It is about time. Look, coming out of the pandemic, I think it was predictable. I mean, people, internalized, frontline hero, essential, all of that kind of stuff, going out and putting themselves in peril and still getting screwed in the workplace and not being paid reasonably, and with inflation. Of course people are ticked off.
Yes. And
as we should be.
As we should be. And what people enjoyed a lot during the lockdown were their streaming services, right? You binge watched, whatever, The Walkers, The Walking Dead, whatever, or watched movies that you might not have otherwise paid any attention to. You're like, oh, what's this movie? I really enjoyed this. Well, that was created by an incredible mind, a writer who sat down and put their passions on the page, by the actors, but also the crew. I mean, the countless members of the crew, from makeup and props to the sound engineers to the people who build the sets, the carpenters that are on the sets. There's so many people involved in creating that world. And those streaming studios are making billions of dollars and crying victim. I received a 2-cent check last week. 2 cents I received for a residual for a performance that I wrote and performed on Amazon Prime Video. So
whoa.
Yes.
So hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Walk me through this 2 cents.
Yeah.
Could they just send you the stamp?
Thank you. The paper, the ink, the envelope, everything. The stamp was, let's see, I can't do the math, of 2 cents out
It's
of...
like $1.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got...
Come on.
And then you spend $1 to send you 2 cents.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
And they're complaining over...
Yeah. Well, we're asking for equity. We're asking for what we're worth. But we're also asking about the way we have to sign contracts about our likenesses used in artificial intelligence, right? Right now, they will scan background actors, right? And just use that they'll use it over and over again, CGI it. And so now you're eliminating that portion of the industry where people maybe it's $100, $200 a day to be an extra. That's how I started in the 90s. And they also want to do that with, if you ever saw New Hope with Carrie Fisher, they CG'd her face. They can use our image, our bodies, the way we move, the way we talk in perpetuity without ever giving us compensation. And I want 3 things: consent for how my image is used, compensation for work, for whether it's my art or my image, and I want credit. I want credit for the work I've done.
Yeah, I just saw a lawsuit. I don't know much about it at this moment, but Sarah Silverman and someone else are suing. I think it's ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because of copyright infringement. Because is this AI bot or whatever? Is this creating new material, or is it just plagiarizing what others have done without giving credit for it?
Exactly.
I mean, so it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because, I had this conversation last night over dinner, and the person was telling me, well, these streaming services are new. There's not a lot of money there. They're just trying to compete. So we should start incrementally. And I'm going, no, I think there's a lot more to this. So the way you laid it out, this is a dire moment. This is a ride or die moment.
It is, because the way performers and writers were compensated before, a season on a TV show might have 22 episodes, right? And then they rebroadcast that, and networks would sell it off, and we would get some of that money. But now streaming, it's not a per play. It's obviously in perpetuity. When someone clicks on it, they want to watch it. I get it. I enjoy doing that too. But that's a product that someone created, and they're not being compensated.
Shouldn't it be per play? I mean, when you download podcasts, there are ads in there and there's revenue that comes out of that.
Sure.
These streaming services, shouldn't they be paying per?
Sure.
When I click on watching Breaking Bad or whatever I'm going to watch, shouldn't a portion of that view come out of, something? Should there be some kind of...
You would imagine. Like I said, that 2 cents I got was for a 15-minute set that I did, or maybe it was like 12 minutes, a set that I did all my own original material. I performed it, and I get 2 cents for what.
Did you frame it?
Did I frame the check? I didn't. It's like going to the bank would cost me more in gas money. Just using my phone, the battery usage to take a picture of it would be more labor than the 2 cents I'm getting.
I think you could make a comedy bit out of that and make more off of it.
There's actually a bar in Los Angeles called Residuals, and if you bring in a check that's less than like $4, you get a free drink. Yeah. Isn't that great? Actually, I'm going to LA this weekend. I'm going to bring my 2-cent check, and it will be worth more there than it is anywhere else.
See, now I would take that to to Springfield, right, capital here.
Yeah.
And I say, here, I'm giving you my 2 cents, and then I would lay into them.
That's a great. Well, they will tell you that I have done that both here and there. So
And that's why people love you here in Chicago.
that was one of my favorite expressions on people's faces, whether it's people I've run against or if I've gone down in Springfield. This look on their face, like, oh God, she's here again. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, be that person. Be the person
Always.
that rocks the boat.
Absolutely.
I've never seen a boat I haven't wanted to stand up in. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Rock that boat. You rock that boat. That's what we do. We're boat rockers.
That's it. You're listening to the Rick Smith Show here with Patty Vasquez. She's the afternoon host here on WCPT AM 820. Make sure you check out the work that she does. Incredible. And I'm hoping they're compensating you over there and not stealing your likeness. Because this is our gig can be. Did you see that thing out west where the one disc jockey woman? She has an AI version of herself.
Oh no!
So they're already doing this. Yeah. They're already replacing us with AI, and this person was like, "Oh, isn't this great? There's an AI version of me," and I'm going, "No, this is bad.
No, that's horrifying. That's not great. No. That's what we're battling."
And it sounded just like her.
Well, yeah, and that's what they can do. There's apparently they went to Congress and they played several politicians AI-generated speeches that they had never done. And that might be the way we get through to them. Things that they like, you could have a Republican saying he supports birth control and transgender care, and that's a speech he never gave.
Or you could have, Chuck Grassley coming out and transitioning.
Exactly. That's AI, baby.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
This is not a brave good new world. This is bad. This is worse than all of the things that I imagined as a kid reading Ray Bradbury novels and all of that stuff.
Fahrenheit 451 was so traumatizing for me in high school. I think that there are elements, and I'm not sure what they are, but we're not saying that AI needs to be destroyed. But I remember when we started having websites, and there was like this big boom for all these companies, and we never figured it out. Digital newspapers, radio, we were always playing catch up. Right now, we need to make sure we know how we want this to work for everyone, right? And that is regulation. It just has to be.
And also union contracts. The fact that
yes.
And then why isn't this the central message out of this? We're fighting the digital revolution so that you don't have to. This is the front lines of this. Why isn't that the message coming out of this?
I agree, and I will send that up the flagpole and wave that flag. And I know that they're trying. I know that if you follow a lot of the writers on Twitter, or any of the social media outlets, Threads now and Instagram, they are talking a lot about AI and about how their scripts. Someone could just put in a storyline and just generate dialogue and have it be incredibly stone. It's not. It has no creativity, it has no breath in it, it has no humanity in it, and that's what we are fighting for. Art, but art is also labor, and people don't see that.
I'm not a Luddite yet.
Getting there?
No, but I'm not saying we smash the machines, but there's got to be a place where we exist.
That's it.
Because there was a study done, I think 4 or 5 years ago, that said within 20 years, half of the jobs we currently do will be wiped out by AI or robotics or something. Eventually, what do we do and look, I love convenience, I love ease, but what do we do?
Well, I think just even when we started realizing when we tried calling our credit card company and we're like, operator, I want to talk to an operator. Number 2.
You should ask my kids.
I said 2. Yes.
You should ask my kids how crazy I get when I got to talk to those damn things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great example of we're not talking to human beings anymore, and it just boggles the mind that we just keep giving it all away, whether it's our personal information, which is data, right? That's what we signed off on that. We need to be mindful of what we continue to do, and because we're already giving it away, now we're headed to giving it all away for our kids too.
And there's no claw on that back at this point.
No, I don't think there is.
And
no.
Wow. now you've depressed me to know it. It's over. It's over.
But that's the point of the work that you do. Raising the alarm bell about labor, having these conversations, making sure folks are informed. We're not out here to change, to make people think something. We're out here just to share the information, to have these stories. That's the great thing about radio is that it's intimate, right? They can't replace us. They could try to, whether it's a DJ or whatever, but there isn't replacing our passion. There isn't replacing our perspective and our experience.
Yeah, but they're going to try because
sure.
it's profitable. This is the problem. I mean, I go back to how you going to make a living when AI is doing all this stuff. Look, I've used some of this stuff, some of the stuff, and it's scary good.
Yeah.
I know a lot of my writer friends. No, it's all crap. It's all I'm going. I don't know, man. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, but and that's again, people think that we're a fluff union, right? SAG-AFTRA is just a bunch of performers and artists and things like that. But it is interesting to hear you say that we're kind of at the forefront of talking about AI, and if we can elevate it, if we can really get the message out there of what we're fighting for is labor. Fran Drescher did a great speech yesterday when she said this is happening across all labor. When CEOs and corporations put Wall Street and greed above the people who created the product, it's dire times for everybody. And if you saw this too, the studios, the execs are saying, well, we're willing to let them all suffer. People like writers losing their homes. It's the evil, the evilness of the beast. But we're gonna have to do it. We'll stretch it out for months until they're starving and they're begging for us to give them whatever we offer. And isn't that comes down to labor?
Yeah, it comes back down to the war between capital and labor.
Yeah.
And that's not new. And this is where the hope is now that you've put this out there, because I've known this, the companies are going to do what they're going to do to try and starve people back to work. How do we support your union? How do we support the writers? How do we support people to get them that one day longer?
I think showing up in support right now for the pickets, I think, tweeting out, hey, I don't want to tell people that they should cancel their streaming services, but if you've been thinking about it, now's a good time to send a message to Netflix and Paramount, all those studios. Those are the dollars that we're fighting over, are the ones, because they don't share how many people subscribe. So there isn't really a number. They're using shows. They will completely destroy a show and write it off as a tax write-off and hold those creators and those performers under contract so that they can't do other work in a certain time period because they want to use that show as a tax write-off. Right. Wow. So if you have a show that you loved on Netflix, it was canceled, it might have just been because they saw an opportunity to take a tax break. I'm sorry.
Now I'm canceling Netflix. That's it.
I maybe borrow it. I'm just saying.
No, I mean it's one of those things, man. That's the ultimate in backdoor.
Yeah. John Cusack tweeted about this too. That they've told him that one of his movies, I think it's Say Anything, has lost $44 million since they made it, even though it was a big hit that summer. So they have all these. That's why he doesn't get more money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how much it's rented or streamed, they say it's
good nothing. Again, I go back to this is why we need to tax these people out of existence.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's a tax. The whole idea. Ron Johnson yesterday said that he doesn't believe the wealthy should pay their fair share. Do they even hear the words that are coming out of their mouths?
Well, Mike Pence said the same thing.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And this is why, again, you come to events like this here at Netroots Nation. So what experience have you had here? Is this your first one?
This is my first one. And I'll tell you, we had a great conversation with Nina Turner. We talked to some folks from the Trans Rally, which is a new organization here in Chicago, uplifting trans voices. We talked to State Senator Aaron Murphy from Minnesota, talking about the work that they've accomplished with just a simple majority in Minnesota. So what have you enjoyed? What have been your favorite moments?
We sat down with Keith Ellison. We talked a little bit. We had Randy Weingarten come by. We've had a bunch of people, talking about the work that they're doing locally and how they're attempting to turn this into electoral victories. All this stuff is great, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't turn into people getting out and voting.
Yeah.
You don't have a Minnesota miracle without having a majority of people in those elected offices.
I agree.
You don't have what's going on in Michigan.
Yeah.
Without having the majority. And this is and also understanding how important those down races are. An attorney general's race is incredibly important.
Secretary of State,
all that stuff.
We've banned book bans in Illinois.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So and Senator Murphy. I have to get going.
Yep, you got to go.
I got to go soon. All right. Well, but I do want to say before I go, one of the things that impressed me with State Senator Aaron Murphy was what she learned from. They took big losses in Minnesota when they lost 25 Democratic seats about a decade ago, and she said that it was always she felt that it was because they would always go back on their values, that they would negotiate and not follow through on the promises that they had made, or whether it was gun violence or affordable housing. And she's like, we now stand, rooted in our beliefs and full-throated on what we want to accomplish. And that's, I think, the message we need to get out to folks.
There you go.
Yep.
Patty Vasquez, appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Great
it was so great
stuff.
to hang out with you today.
You too.
Thank you. Am I talking to you later too?
Yep, you are. You can catch her later on. You can catch her on WCPT in the afternoon drive. Quick break. Right back from Netroots Nation. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show.
Calling all builders. Your country is calling you. Tackling climate change is the job of our lifetime. It's time to build back better. Let's get to work.
I've been driving buses for 5 years, and my day-to-day routine is I wake up a little earlier than most people. I get on a bus, I go out, I pick up some students and make sure they get to school nice and safe. Here in Fairbanks, Alaska, that can be a challenge because of the winter weather and the icy roads. But I love the job. So the Teamsters are great. They provide us a lot of protections. They've always taken care of their people, made sure that our jobs were secure. We didn't have to worry about whether or not we'd have a job from day to day.
And that's amazing because before we'd be working 4, 6, 8 hours a day and only earning minimum wage was real difficult to make a living. Then the Teamsters pushed a law so we make something we can live off of and not have to have a second job. What absolutely gives me peace of mind. The union membership allows me to focus on this job without having to worry about whether or not my family is going to be taken care of. I'm Andrew Case, and I'm proud to be Teamsters Local 959.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At The Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right-left or red-blue, when they are and always have been up-down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working-class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.